So I've been following some megaliths and some ancient texts and looking around, and I wanted to take a look at the Ajanta caves today and start out here in India. Um, these are part of a large cave complex, actually. They include the Ellora caves as well. Um, I've done a little reading. I'm not an expert by any means. And in fact, I'm just taking things for what I see and kind of interpreting them based off of my ramblings and my thoughts of a global cataclysm happening um, with our ancestors to witness it. You know, the earth being impacted with such force. What is that? About 6,000, 7,000 miles away. What would that look like from this distance? Just looking over the horizon, that direction. What would you see if that was impacted and humans were there to see it? This whole area. Well, I imagine you'd see a massive fireball, which brings me back to the whole Ajanta cave system and the Buddhist religion and the Hindi and all of that from that area of the world, from India. When you look through and you see these stupas, and you see the shapes of the stupas and try to figure out what they mean. Now, they just say they're a place of worship. Well, they have significance, and they're buried inside of caves that were hand cut out. Probably not hand cut out. These are probably old recycled sites, like a lot of the megalithic sites where you see newer construction that's not as high quality. I think this is kind of a little bit of the same story. You know, you see around Peru, and you see the Inca, and you see massive megalithic structures, and then on top of it you see just stacked stone, you know, not finely cut like you see that look like machines did some work. These look like machines. I don't know when these were actually cut out of the side of the mountain. They say, you know, sometime in the 200 BC, but it just doesn't make sense to me. And look at the shapes of these stupas. It's reminiscent to me, and it started getting me think as I looked at these stupas going through the different, you know, caves. Cave 9 here has the shape of a stupa, and then this is the one that originally made me think, you know, look at that, looks like water flowing. This looks like even an impact or something. The shape of a crater up here. Is that what it's signifying? Is that what this is, the stupa, the place of worship? Is it a warning passed down through oral tradition, because what happened wiped away basically everything except for the biggest, most sturdy structures? When you look into these, and I was playing around looking through some of these Buddhist sculptures and things like that, and you look down here and you start to see swirling with sea life. Well, and you see chaos over on one side, and I don't know. I don't know how all texts are read or written or seen, but it seems to be left to right. It tells a story, and this looks like some chaos, and then a large whirlpool, and the fish and the land and everything filling back in and closing that hole to finally show some seas settling, perhaps. And it's reminiscent to me, in my eyes, of this area of the world. I could see maybe coming over here and seeing this edge of the land and the sweeping and the spinning. And if you come down here and you look, you have all of that. You've got the sweeping edge here on this one, you know. And these do look like drain holes of the world filling up. And then you go through and you can look through all of these different carvings of statues and try to decipher the meaning. Or you can just go to the Ajanta caves and you can look at them And you can see the differences in the stupas. Like this stupa is well, it looks incomplete, but it looks like they're holding something up there. And again here, this is just a more complete version. And at the very top up here, what do you have? You have a circular object. This is reminiscent of that to me. Could you imagine 6,000-7,000 miles away, something that hits the earth that hard, what it would leave in the sky? Well, we kind of know. The world's most powerful nuclear bomb, the Tsar bomb, made concentric rings in the sky for everyone to see. Nuclear explosions make mushroom clouds. You know, they have pillars going to the sky topped with mushroom clouds. And as you look at pillars to the sky, you know, is the temple here significant? Look at this. This looks like an asteroid or something. I can't get in any closer than that, but what is that? I would love to see exactly what that is. But now look at the shape of this. This is starting to look reminiscent of something. And this is the Trinity test fireball. And then we'll go back, Cave 26, with what looks like an asteroid. Is this the weight, signifying the weight, the power of that impact, or is this signifying where the impact happened? Maybe the step pyramids on the other side of the world? Because really, when you look at it, it came from the direction of those step pyramids, which they signify by upside down, by being on the other side of the world. What does that mean? You know, and then here, another one, different significant, different shaped pyramid. And as you go through, another one, different shaped upside down pyramid. These temples with strange shaped stupas. They obviously have the ability to carve around. But yet, they expand it and change the shapes. Like you would see in a massive fireball. And again, what's the deal with these extra cutouts here? You know, is this signifying the world breaking apart and the megalithic block structures coming down from the massive impact that created a massive fireball that our ancestors... Look at this. They call it a lotus flower, but to me, boy, I don't know. If I was looking up in the sky, that's reminiscent of that. When you're going through and you're looking at these things, you know, maybe look at what they are. Look what's down here directly below it, what looks like an impact crater. I don't know how good I wish I had better pictures of this here. But again, look at, you have a pillar, you have a mushroom cloud, you have a perfectly circular area, you have what looks like, you know, horror up at the top. And again, you can look, and as you come through and you look into, oh gosh, the Ellora cave systems, you know. Let's see, there's got to be a better picture here somewhere. I don't remember exactly which cave this is, but there's a cave that has some very, very interesting things. I find them interesting anyhow. These are very small pictures. I prefer to find something larger. I'll just drag this one over here. So this is the Ellora caves. And again, look at that. Right below that, what they call the blooming lotus. And then look over here with a bloom, and then looks like, sure looks so like that to me. I mean, is that what these pillars are? Are these signifying? And it looks like the waters of the basins are being blown out, or whatever they've signified here. I don't know what the significance of the square is and all of that, why they would cut it that way, but it truly does. It's interesting when you let your mind wander and think, well, that's what a fireball looks like on a massive scale. That's what an explosion looks like on a massive scale. And that's what happens. We know it happens because there it is. We had Shoemaker-Levy 9 impact. And again, look here at around their heads. Why are their heads encircled in fire and flame? What is the story being told here? Look here, all around, flame and fire in what looks like a circular object in fire coming with a peak, coming from a direction. Is this what stupas are? Is this why we started building stupas around the world? To remind us and have a long-term reminder that stuck through oral history, and then our engineers and the shapes in the buildings and the pillars that we make. I've searched through and looked at multiple different pillars and the tops of pillars. And you look, and they're all around the world. You know, actually megalithic pillars, real megalithic pillars. Let's just see what we can find. These are interesting and all. Let's see what these look like up at the top. You know, I don't know when Baalbek, the Temple of Bacchus, was built, but oddly enough, there we go. Temple of Bacchus. Well, this is not the page I wanted. I just want the Temple of Bacchus. Okay. We got the Temple of Bacchus. I want to see these pillars. You know, let's take a look at the tops of these pillars, and these are gigantic pillars. Do we have reminiscent history through our architecture of what's going on, what's happened in the past? I really want to show the tops of these pillars because it's really interesting. I found some pillars. Here we go. Maybe it looks like water splashing at the top. Those could be plants. I mean, some of them most likely are plants or interesting things like that, but I've seen some other ones I wish I could find that are absolutely stunning, and they just truly look like water exploding from the top of a pillar. Why do we design them that way? Why do they look like that? You know, why are our pillars mushroom cloud shaped? Why are there mushrooms on the top of some pillars? There are. In some ancient ruins I found. Mushroom pillar. Okay. Well, not what I was looking for, but there's literally carved into the top of some of these pillars the architecture of some of these ancient structures that we don't even truly know the age of, have mushrooms carved into the top of them as well. They could be reminiscent of mushroom cloud. I mean, we know we're hit. We know it happens all the time. Maybe these, you know, the winged disc in Egypt, for example. That, what is this? The winged sun, or is this telling of a comet? Flying. It flies, right? Wings signify flight. So the sun seems to not sit stationary. It travels across the sky. Is it the wings traveling across the sky of the sun, or is it, you know, reminiscent of a comet? Because I've seen with two side by side. And the serpents. You know, what does it all mean? And then you have this. I don't even know where that one's from. Is that Sumerian? And Egyptian? And I mean, why are these symbols all over the world? I was looking at even Mayan stuff. And There's very, very interesting things all around the world, these megaliths. And more when I look at it, and especially in the areas of the Ajanta caves and the Ellora caves, the story seems to be told that a massive cataclysm happened. I mean, if you were not told the story, as I've never studied really the stories. I've looked into them a little bit, but I couldn't put a piece here or there. But just looking at the pictures and not knowing where you're at, that's reminiscent. I mean, when I saw that, the first thing I thought was Tsar bomb or nuclear explosion as I was just traveling through the pictures. This, when I first saw it, it was first thought was impact, you know, and maybe my mind is there on an impact theory, but maybe that's what they're trying to tell us. Why is it there's so many of them? Why is there so many different stupas? And, you know, what are the stories being told? It's absolutely beautiful, and it's mind-boggling how they did it. Yeah. All different shapes. Temples on top of them. I think it's reminiscent of an explosion. The giant fireball that they tell of. Fire and brimstone. A fireball that rose and cleared this entire Pacific Ocean seafloor, well, ocean floor, just cleared it, wiped everything away. Welded rock to the surface of the ocean floor, and then years and years and years of sedimentation falling down, and silt and sand softening the edges of everything. But if we get down to the bottom of these through all that silt and all those layers, what's under there? I'm willing to bet that is welded to bedrock. That is rock welded to bedrock, and I'm willing to bet that some of them broke free in massive earthquakes, and that's why we have these strange gashes and gouges and trails all through the ocean floor. Just take a look at it. You know, does that not look like one long solid line right there? Look at that. Just gouges and gashes of different direction with varying degrees of shaking, it looks like. Even Nevada, I mentioned in a previous ramblings video, and this whole area looks like it was liquid at one point and the earth shook. And this is what liquid rock would solidify into if the earth was shaking. And it's more prominent the further you get back, and less prominent the further you get away from the coast and the potential impact. If you start looking at the landscape through here, check out some pictures of Utah. Check out some pictures of Nevada and Arizona and New Mexico, and look at the strata of the earth, and look at how it's shaken up and twisted, and, you know, and then also go down to New Zealand and Papua New Guinea and Australia especially. Look at the coasts of Australia and look at the strange patterns in the rocks and the way the rocks actually look there. They look as though they've been melted and shaken and stirred and jiggled, and, you know, and again we have the massive sand dunes of Africa that all have odd patterning in them that looks like vibrations as the waters receded. What else would create this? One long, giant strip that you can follow for miles and miles and miles, yet within the structure you have such intricate patterns. Looks like vibrations. And then in India, you have ancient cave structures that we don't know how old they are that were cut out of the bedrock by man. We have caves in Petra, Jordan, giant caves cut out of the rock. And all around these megalithic sites around the world, we have cave systems. They're finding more and more cave systems under Egypt that are connected. You have the Valley of the Kings and the Valley of the Queens connected together by cave systems, and they think that they are all tied together with the Sphinx and everything else. They think it's a massive underground cave complex. And if you saw something coming, or you had a warning of it, maybe you got popped, just a little one, they smacked you, but then you looked up and you saw what really was coming. We would do that. If we got hit hard, the first thing we would do is hit the skies. We would dedicate so much money to looking at the skies, we would map absolutely every near Earth and far Earth object out there. And we've done a great job so far, but if we got smacked, like truly smacked, got blasted, killed a significant portion of the population of any landmass, we'd be looking to the sky, and we'd be looking for ways, whoa, is there another one coming? And maybe that's what they did. They got smacked as a precursor, and they're like, oh, something's happening. Let's build some caves. Looks like they're this far away. Let's build some megalithic structures that'll withstand it. Let's use some 1,000-ton stones. We can survive this. And then boom, bigger than you ever imagined, enough to split the earth apart. And the more I think about it, the more it makes sense that this was sooner than later. Because we have record of ancient impacts that are in the strata that date 65 million years old in the Yucatan Peninsula that they say wiped out the dinosaurs. But it's buried, but it's cut into the bedrock. And then you look at this area through where that happened, and my God, something blew through and covered it all up. All the ancient craters are buried. But yet we have all of this. We have this scorched earth with 4.4 billion year old zircon just sitting right there for the taking on the surface. Weird mixtures of strata. I started looking into geology and stuff too, because I never opened a geology book in my life. I didn't know an igneous rock from any other rock. And now when you start looking at it, and then you look at the sites of the world and the way the world's strata is laid out, well, and you just take pictures of them. You can see pictures from the coasts, and you can see pictures of exposed rock, or, just go to look at Reddit and geology. You see some really neat stuff, and you start to imagine how that occurred. How did those rocks get in there? How did those rocks look like that? How were those rocks formed? And you start to paint another picture, and then you start thinking about this, and you can see how granite makes sense. If it blows apart different pieces of rock, and they're small chunks of rock stuck in a liquid, and then that liquid solidifies. It's not really, it's just hot magma, and then it turns into granite. You have the sandstones where you have different layers, and you can see the painted deserts of Arizona, and then you have some strange breaks. And why are these just crags and broke and suddenly popped up, and you see what should be millions of years of strata exposed and just sitting there. I drive through the state of Oklahoma all the time, and down through Highway 2, as you look at where they've blasted the route through the rock. I don't even know where Highway 2 is on here. It's somewhere in this area. But you see strange shapes and layers and mismatched angles of strata that just don't make sense unless the whole world shook. If the whole world shook, it makes sense. But it requires the whole world shaking and breaking to make sense. And stories of ancient floods, suddenly start to make more sense. They're all over the world. You've got Hawaiian, you've got Middle Eastern stories, you have Indian stories, you have Chinese stories, you have, I have no idea if there's Mongolian or anything like that, but there's a bunch of different flood myths that they talk about. And then you look at the world and, well, I can see how the world flooded. I can see the water blowing across here, and across here, washing everything away from megaliths in Mauritania here with a 24-foot by 13-foot stone right in the center of the Ricot structure. I mean, look at this, 26 feet, excuse me. That's probably not exact, but still, that is a megalithic stone in the center of the Ricot structure, as well as another structure that looks man-made inside of a potential circle. And with that amount of water, well, I don't think there's a megalithic stone that would stay in place, really, except for massive, massive, massive ones. Is that what happened here? Did the ancient races have better, higher technology than us? I mean, when you look around at things like this, and you start looking at it from the scale of what it is, from the top down and whatnot. These are, can't remember what the name of this place is called. But you can see megalithic saw marks and stuff like that. These are very interesting. These are classic core drills. I mean, that it's, except for on a massive, massive scale. These are huge. These are not little. It's Cave de Cusa, I believe. Let me see if I've got it opened up over here on the other side. Okay, so look at these here. These aren't small, and you can see the rotation there. Oops. And they're massive. They're bigger than a man stands tall. And these are core drills. There's a better picture somewhere. I'm going to find it. I just don't know where I put it. I've been through so many different pages, looking at so many different things, wondering exactly what in the world is going on in our world. Yeah, I was right there. Cave de Cusa. So we're going to go like this and go Cave de Cusa and see if I can find... There we go. Look at that. If that is not a giant core drill made from a giant machine, I don't know what is. We had ancient giant machines. We didn't. Well, our ancestors did. And I can imagine a world wiped clean with a wave, not leaving behind any of these massive machines. There are pillars, ancient pillars. Ancient pillar. And they have lathe holes cut in them. And the way they look like they have to have been cut on a lathe. Some of these. We didn't chip these away with they didn't chip them away with dolomite stones and smack it with rocks and hope that it would get there. Ancient pillar lathe hole, maybe, because there's these pillars that are laying down, and you can see the top part of the pillar has 5 concentric holes that looks like kind of a gripping, and then 1 in the bottom. I can't find them, but it's classic lathe, and it's on an ancient pillar. Okay, I don't know what that is. Ancient tool found? I have no idea. That's not what I'm after, though. Do some looking around, do some internet searches, and you'll find it. I really wish I could find it, but there are just some very, very strange things, and these right here are one of them, you know, and that is one of them. We have ancient tooling marks that are clearly made by saws. There's this here. Okay, now you may just call that, oh, a split rock happened naturally, blah 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 blah. But look at the other side of this thing. Okay, so on the what is this? I don't want that guy's stuff. Look at this side of it. This looks like they've been preparing a block. This looks like they use the earth as some you know, stands, and they cut this face away already, and they cut this face, and they were preparing to cut away some more, and they have an undercut here. It almost looks like a blade cut this direction, and then right there they backed out. So you have an undercut. So what did this? How did that happen? They say it's natural. I call bullshit. That is not natural. That is cut. You know, any ancient historians, and this, look at the precision on these lines and the distance. You don't get that except with machine tooling. That's not done by hand. You don't chip that away. You know, how were all these stones cut and placed? There's too many questions that they can't answer with bronze chisels, even steel chisels. The fine workmanship of the boxes in the Serapeum is another great example. This in and of itself, you know, I think this, I don't know what kind of stone this is. I believe they said it's some kind of sandstone. This is very interesting site, aloracaves.org. Fantastic. Good. Just flip through there. You find some amazing things. And then look at this along with it. You know, pull up your Google Earth, spin around the globe, and look for stories from ancient civilizations. You know, look at Peru and all the areas of South America, and look into the Paracas peoples. You know, and look at this. This edge, the more you look at it, looks pushed, and then this looks wrinkled, like it's been shoved. This whole back edge is just wrinkled up. I think all these mountain ranges were created in this event right here. I think the major mountain ranges of the world were created in that event, not over millions of years of plate tectonics. This is a wave. That's a wave of water going across the land with incalculable amounts of tonnage. I've showed in the previous Ramblings of Mad Lamb video how heavy it is, but it's mind-boggling. The numbers are huge. And why is it scoured so clean down to the surface? And the sea life that is up here in the mountains of the Himalayas and on Everest, if not a global flood, you know, or at least this major part of the world flood. If you're hit here, all this water goes bye-bye this way, all that water goes bye-bye that way. Well, this probably is burned flames with ice cap putting out the fires and cooling, creating these patterns. And then when you go up and you look up in the scablands, up in here, let's see if I can find that. Okay. Scablands are absolutely mind-boggling as well. They have giant sand dunes and things that look like, look at this. This is caused by large amounts of water flowing and maybe melted rock undulating under massive earthquakes, at least down through this area here. But Randall Carlson has some great stuff on the scablands. He's done extensive work up there that is, bar none. I think it's a heck of a lot more than even Graham Hancock and Randall Carlson and all of these, ancient, these people who look into ancient catastrophe. These things that happened are just absolutely on another level, another scale that happened over this happened over a short period of time, and then maybe between 12,800 to 11,600 years you get the melting, and then you get the scablands created through the 11,600 year mark post impact. But this is the event, and it included everything up here. That this wasn't just one hit. This wasn't one big rock, and we see it, in art. Do these signify how many times we were hit? I don't know. You guys got to tell me. You got to let me know. You got to share this with friends. You got to share it with family, whoever you feel might be interested in opening their mind and maybe seeing something different through a new light. Why are there temples on top of these stupas? What does it signify? Can somebody tell me? I mean, is there an actual true meaning behind it? I would love to hear it, and where it falls in line. Look at all these pillars and the tops of them. Large pillars with mushroom clouds on top. I don't know. That may be reaching. But it may not be reaching. It looks like an explosion. It looks like a mushroom cloud. It looks like Tsar bomb. Trinity fireball. The different styles, different temples, all over. They're everywhere. All through these caves. Multiple different depictions. There's lots of paintings. I would absolutely love to spend a month in this area just looking at everything and getting pictures and cataloging and researching, And again, you start looking into even the Mayans, and you see here what looks like maybe this is torrents of water. I don't know. I don't know anything about any of that, but looking at it through fresh eyes without being told one thing or another and just seeing what I see, it's showing me a story that I'm gathering more and more and more as I go through and research these things and look into them and stare at these pictures for hours on end. My girlfriend hates it sometimes. She thinks I'm crazy. And I admit, I'm ramblings of a mad lamb. Here I am. A little bit crazy in order to get this far. There are just too many questions that I have, and not enough time to ask them all. And that's why I want to continue to put together these videos for you guys. And I really, really hope that I'm entertaining you. I really hope that I'm opening your minds and potentially putting some ideas in there. And who knows? Who knows what this could lead to? Who knows at all? I can't imagine the implications if this is true, if what I'm saying is true. It sure as shit looks true. It sure as shit makes sense. Let me know what you think, guys. Tell some people about this. We got to get somebody smarter than me looking at this. If somebody out there knows Graham Hancock, let them know. Somebody knows Randall Carlson, let them know. Heck, somebody knows Jimmy over there at Bright Insight, let them know. Anybody. Take a look at. I would love to get in contact with somebody and spend a little bit of time with them talking about this and talking about these ideas and refining these ideas and seeing how much credit there is behind them, what kind of street cred I got, you know. This could be new. This could be something absolutely paradigm shifting. And Graham Hancock and Randall Carlson were right there along the ways. You got Robert Schoch talking about the aging on the Sphinx and things like that. And we have evidence in San Diego of 130,000-year-old humans. You know, they have a site where there was a mammoth that 100% they are sure it was humanoid type behavior, scavenging a mammoth here in this area. And we lost all the major megafauna over 100 pounds all over all in North America and South America. We just huge die out, massive extinction event that potentially wiped out multiple civilizations. I still question what was here. I was looking around the other day and ran across some stuff on the lost continent of Mu, Lemuria, and who knows? Who knows? Could you imagine if this really is what happened? If we were hit by a Shoemaker-Levy 9 type impact? Well, I can imagine a continent going bye-bye completely, and there sure is a lot of open real estate out here in the Pacific Ocean to fit a continent. Heck of a lot more land space, underwater space, I should say, than the Atlantic Ocean. I could imagine an entire continent being completely wiped off the map, just being blasted here. And these are the remnants of it, filling back in the giant craters that were left behind as the Earth was penetrated, not just impacted, but penetrated deep within the Earth, hitting hard enough to split the planet and bust free this entire area, almost blowing out the backside of the planet as Moses parts the Red Sea, you know, and the world cracks and splits, and finally gravity overpowers and pulls everything back together, and the giant cataclysmic earthquakes shaking and causing enormous rocks to vibrate and slide, and the biggest landslides ever imagined on Earth, right here, right before your eyes. There it is. You know, I mean, how big is that? Let's find out. Let's get a measuring stick here. Let's just look at one of these paths. Just a single path. This one is roughly that size right there. That's a lot of feet. 51,000. Let's just go miles. That's 10-mile rock shaking and making a path. Numerous. Because look at how many there are. They all seem to settle right here around Bermuda. Maybe this was a low spot, and as the Earth shook, this is where everything traveled, in this area of the world at least. You know, when you go and you look at this mid-Atlantic ridge, oops, there we go. Well, it's too much. I see vibrations, I see tracks. I've seen what it looks like in experiments where they do earthquake experiments and things like that. And that's the tracks and the trails you leave on a small scale look like this. Look at some of the videos around YouTube of vibrating liquids and things like that, and colored liquids and vibrating, just vibrations and liquids and metals and all of that crap. And you start to see these patterns that you see in the surface of the Earth. Can you guys see this being blown back and pushed back, and these are the edges? I mean, look at it. It looks like melted clay. Just blown back and pushed back. This looks like a giant flap of land. Just sputtered and spit fire and brimstone across the world. You know, why is it that we have the deepest areas in the ocean right along these edges? Right here. I think Challenger Deep is right along the edge of Guam here. Where these areas are. If there wasn't a giant hole in the earth, is, you know, right here, that needed to be filled back in by the land that dripped and fell and ripped down this direction to fill back in the hole. I mean, this looks like it's blown back. What is a clay ball? Have you seen what clay balls look like when you shoot them with a shotgun? Let's find out. I think I've seen them. Don't look down the barrel. No, that's not. I don't want shooting clays. I just want to see what clay ball. Maybe a clay ball. No. Look for a video. I'm going to find it later. I'm not going to waste my time on here. I want to keep talking to you guys a little bit. You know, it brings me right back here to the Ajanta caves. It's interesting where this journey led me, because if you go back to the first video that I did, the journey started, you know, right here in Oklahoma with me. And I took you over this direction, and I speculated whether these cracks in the earth could have been the impact points. And I'm less convinced that those cracks in the earth are impact points. What I am convinced is this is impact points, and those cracks are a result of those impact points. And I was just off on my aim a little bit. I think this fireball was absolutely massive, and it has the whole entire journey that started there in Oklahoma and wandered across the map to finally here. This is my convinced spot where we got nailed. This is too reminiscent of a blast wave. This looks too much like somebody pulled the drain in the plug, or pulled the plug out of a tub and let the water out, and all the dirt and everything just swirled and settled. This looks like a painter got angry and splashed the canvas with his paint. And this looks bare, as if it was blown. You know, and think about the secondary and the tertiary impacts. How big would those be? Would those be Arizona crater big, which is still left on the surface? Or is that one exposed because the blast wave uncovered an ancient crater? Yeah, if I can get this to... You guys are finding out more and more how little I can type. So we've got meteor crater, and we've got Odessa meteor crater in Texas as well. You know, how old are these? Well, look at it. Okay, so that's the Odessa. Are these secondary impacts from this massive event that's just left behind? Meteor crater. Okay, look at that. Now, is this just washed away? Or is this another impact that happened around the same time between that 12,800 and 11,600 mark? Are these just, it was a bad time in the Earth's history. You know, look at this, crater volcano. And how the hell did we get so much lava, magma under Yellowstone? How the hell did we get Yellowstone to become what it is? Where is Yellowstone? Am I in the right area? Oh, way off. Okay. But look at it. Look at Yellowstone from a distance. Look at this flow of one single line. You know? Was Yellowstone caused from being under the ice. The whole reason it's a caldera volcano is it because this impact with the violence and the heat here melting the earth, who knows how deep, to create these ranges, mountain ranges, and shaking and violence. Does this landscape not look the same just because the ice cap was over the top? It had 2 miles of ice over this area of Yellowstone, but yet underneath, the damage that was occurring here was also carrying through. Is that why Yellowstone is what it is? A super volcano that's a caldera. It sure doesn't look like it 750 million years ago it blew up, leaving anything. You know, this looks like this is all new. This is rocky and hard surfaces. Yet we have an underground volcano, super volcano. What better to hold down a volcano than 2 miles of ice on top of it, right? Maybe that's a portion of why the ice melted and we have the scab lands all through here that Randall Carlson talks about. Maybe this helped with the melting in order to get that glacial flow of the massive amounts of water that were required in order to carve the scab lands and make them look like they do. It's a beautiful, mysterious world we live on. And when you get close to this area, it looks like a lot happened and a lot of problems happened. Look at the human migration patterns and things like that. You know, what do they look like? I'm not 100% sure, but Australia has some of the oldest, the oldest DNA on Earth. Was that because they wanted to come down and see what in the heck happened after this happened? You know, did they come out of their caves, their underground places in Petra, Jordan, and Egypt, and I don't know what's over in Saudi Arabia. I believe there's some major caves over there as well. I believe there's some in Sudan. We all know India. You know, I've been pointing those out, the Ajanta and Ellora cave systems, and there's even more. It truly is a giant range. I believe it's this whole entire area right here has a bunch of different stuff. I mean, it would make sense you would dig holes to survive, and maybe this is Buddha waiting out the cataclysm. That's why it shows everyone living in boxes and stuff in the inscriptions. Everybody's cut into boxes, cut into caves, because they're showing us they moved into the cave systems. And everybody looks different. They do. You know, look here. Why are some of them with a Buddha sitting in the cave behind there? And one of a giant Buddha sleeping. No one. Nothing. Blank canvas. No paintings. No carvings. Just a giant boom. Misshapen. And this, again, I suppose there was paintings in here. You can kind of see. Maybe they were rinsed away. But these are octagonal pillars. These are different than the other ones. You know? Then there's these. And at the top of everything you see, you know, all these relief carvings. That's why I would love to spend some time there and look at it all. And again, here, even at the base of this stupa that shows at the top what looks like something round and mushroom cloudish type things with the gods or whoever trying to stop what's happening, and Buddha praying that it won't happen, and standing before strong, knowing that man will, is this man under the earth or in the earth, showing that we are inside the earth and this is what's coming to the earth. And then again, you have your swirl patterns. You have the blooming. And then you have, where is it? I've been through too many of these recently. More swirling, and that is water. I mean, you have sea life in it. That's clearly water. So why is this? Is the significance of a lotus more significant than we thought? Is it because we have lotus flowers in Egypt and we have lotus flowers in India? And what is it? What does it mean? And we have fiery circles around the heads. Maybe the gods were named as they were because they're putting, or whoever these are. Somebody tell me who these people are in this carving or in this. But look, it looks directional. Flames going out this way, coming down. Big comet maybe. Flames all around, everywhere. Square cutouts. What is all this? What does it mean? What is the significance? Does it mean more than what's said? Who are these two? This dude looks angry. Are these the two demons they describe or whatever as being comets? Comets are described as demons in one of the religions. I can't remember. But the stories of fire and brimstone and all the ancient texts talking of, cataclysm and the end of the world as we know it, or knew it as they knew it, because this is the world as we know it now, is a result of a massive, massive impact, far larger than anyone could ever imagine. Am I the first one to notice this? I mean, it just jumped out at me one day. It was my aha moment. And every day I look at it, I discover more and more. I throw in looking at the megalithic sites. I looked at Göbekli Tepe and look into the vulture stone. That one's pretty interesting as well. I don't know what it means. I don't think anybody does. But looking at the face of this planet for what it is, it tells a story that is not Pangea, is not tectonics over or millions of years. This is a violent cataclysm that all happened at once, that reshaped our world in the recent history. And potentially our ancestors witnessed it and have left us record through elaborate caves and artwork and architecture. That place is so beautiful and so mysterious. I want to see everything. I want to see the whole entire thing. And again, it's too reminiscent of a fireball. And then the architecture here, there's significance to it all. It all is carved in that shape for a reason. I think this one is Cave 4 in Ajanta Caves. I mean, it's so easy to even just do this. You can come up here and you can go stupa in cave. You can just get a whole list. And look at these. Why top them like that? Is that directional? Is that showing this is where it came from? And this is what the explosion looks like? Look at the top of that. This area right through here, is this an airburst where it exploded and then widened out to absolutely just annihilate whatever this temple is below it. This looks like a nuclear explosion. You know, is that what these temples are showing? Maybe some air bursts as well, as they just carpet bombed the entire world. Do the pillars mean something? How many pillars there are? How many stupas there are? There's 84,000 stupas, I believe, across India. 84,000. So it's significant. It means something. And oddly enough, it's reminiscent of gigantic explosions. Look at that. Where is my Tsar bomb? Here. Let's try to find a Tsar bomb. Let's just click on you and take a quick gander and look. It's amazing. That sure as shit looks like a strange pillar at the top of it with a large pillar. And look at it. Look at the shape of it. Maybe not that, but that I can see. Maybe just in the architecture. What is all of this up here? Why do they do that? It looks like something blew up and it's an airburst and it just expands and gets larger and larger. They're everywhere. And they have significance and they have meaning. Look here, what is this? 14 best stupa and cave images. We're going to go check this out. Come on now. Really? More and more and more. The Tsar bomb was the biggest ever, and if you look at it, it has multiple levels of mushroom clouds that split out from here. You know, do they have a video of it? I don't want to show anybody else's content. Watch the video and look at it. Where did I put that one? Where's that latest little find? Did I just find something out, or am I really that crazy? Does this look right? Look at this. Yeah. Where is that one? Come on now. A pillar through the center of concentric mushroom clouds. Destroying temples. Is that what stupas are? Stupas are significations of air bursts or impacts. It tells and shows through architecture what happened. They're everywhere. Look at them. Why do we have them? Why do they look like that? The more I look at them and the more stupas I see, I may be crazy or I may be onto something. Come on now, though. Reaching as high as the eyes can see. Could you imagine the impact? How high that pillar would go into the sky with concentric clouds, different burst levels. from a distance of 7-ish thousand miles. Say we got popped. Say Fiji's where we got popped. We got nailed in Fiji, right? It's off center of that blast wave. I don't like it. Let's go from the center of that blast wave and see what happens, because this kind of carries in a nice line. It kind of looks concentric right here, right? Right there. So let's carry that to where, maybe there. Okay, so this is going to be our starting point right here. We'll call that impact site, where they saw the giant mushroom cloud. Okay, so this would go here, and then you have India would be straight up that way. So I imagine, well, this is the area where the caves are. So 5,500 miles away. What does a giant explosion look like 5,500 miles away? What does a crater that causes this look like from 5,500 miles away? Does it look like that? Do you see a pillar with concentric clouds, mushroom clouds? Giant clouds in the sky. Pillars. I really don't think I'm reaching too far. I really don't. You know, I mean, I think it's cave, which cave is 26? Yeah, you know. It's clearly a rock. Clearly something's going on here. And he awaits his knowledge, hidden away. Man awaits and awaits, hidden away in caves, waiting to reemerge after the cataclysm. It's high, as you can see, coming from the sky. This is just so interesting to me that I'm wondering if this is maybe how they're trying to tell us the weight. You know, this is what it weighed. This is how big it was. It was the size of that one pyramid around the world that looks like this, the step pyramid. Let's see, step pyramids. Whoops. Check it out. We got, how many steps is that? With a column. I don't know. I don't know what the square is about up there. That's very interesting. And the pyramids, the upside down pyramids up there, step pyramids. But that, I believe Aztec had the cut in sides looking like that as well. You know, but you're over here in India with it. Yet you can't travel the world, and you have what looks like, you know, look at this. Is this, am I reaching? Mushroom cloud over the Buddha. Just grasping, I suppose. You know, what is this? I think it tells a story, and the story may be deeper than we know. Maybe we've missed pieces of it. We've lost parts of it. Or maybe it's pieces that have been intentionally hidden away. What stories does this tell? What do you guys see? Give me some comments and let me know. I really like diving down the path of the megaliths and the caves. These caves are just absolutely bonkers. It's beautiful. It's amazing, you know. And then when you start seeing the similarities in what we know and what we've seen and what is displayed in the architecture. You know, what sparked them to want to carve these, and so many of them? What is significant enough to put 84,000 stupas across India? What is that significant other than a massive, massive cataclysm? They all look so different. Looks like the edge of the world, just water splashing away. Did they paint this? I mean, look at it. There's different texture from the top to the bottom. You know, is there significance in the paint? If that is paint on them, is there significance in this? Because that looks like a painting. I mean, that looks like a painting. Is there significance in the marks on this? Because if there's significance in that, it sure looks familiar. I'm not making this stuff up. I'm just observing it. It's what I saw, and my mind clicked right over there. Look at the bottom edge of it. Look at this. The pillowing. You know, look at the pillowing here and the billowing. I don't think we have the whole story right. I really don't. And the more I look at it, the more the story comes to me. Just from seeing what it all is. What is this person holding? It's interesting to know, or try to find out. You know, and these are very interesting. I don't know what the significance of this is, but you have two of them where it looks like signs or something with 3D reliefs of, I don't know, are they gods or what are they? Are they there to help? And what what are they holding them up on? I would like to know what each and every one of these scenes depict. It's like a comic book carved out of stone, really. You know, all of them are. All of these are comic books. They're telling a story. They just don't have the words. And I think they understood they weren't going to have the words because people weren't going to understand. So they had to paint us a picture. And how better to paint a picture than a 3D carved out relief of it. You know, there's two triangular notches at different levels here. I wonder if it's all the way around this thing. I wonder if this matches any pyramids of, you know, South America, Central America. I mean, you could, because you can go through and you can see Egypt, and let's just look at some step pyramids. See what we can see. See if anything jumps out. I was actually looking at Cambodia, I believe, had some step pyramids that Okay, so that's interesting. Those are more reminiscent of... Where is Cambodia? I don't even know where Cambodia is. I am no expert on anything. What I am is just interested. So here's Cambodia. Not too awful far away, you know, from these areas. A couple thousand miles. So let's take a look. Even these. That's very interesting. It's like a mini version. Maybe. Huh. I don't know. I wish I could see what it's carved into here. I want to know what that is. Or is this saying that the pyramids are helping to protect or hide the locations, or I don't know. There's significance to it. There is a massive significance to it, and it isn't just a worship. That they built these for a reason. And look, they're undercarved like you would expect a mushroom cloud to look like. When you start just looking through and seeing exactly what these look like, that looks like a pillar. It's very, very, very reminiscent. I mean, I don't know. I really don't. Look at this. You know, there's those concentric rings going up. I want to see concentric rings around a pillar, though. Maybe the bombs just aren't big enough, or those are multiple explosions throughout the path. It's just too eerily similar to just not pay attention to not look into a little bit further. I imagine this is what it looks like when you carve that explosion from a massive planetary impact into stone. This is a representation. They did their best to tell us. Over in the direction of Cambodia, of the step pyramids, maybe that's what that means. It's in the direction. That's why they're showing these. The rock came from the directions of the step pyramids. Maybe they thought it hit Cambodia. That's why they show them upside down. The step pyramids over here, a couple thousand miles away, that they had access to easily. We know even if they didn't have, other forms of travel, they could at least wander over there on foot because it's all connected. And again, why so many similarities around the world? It's not just that's a good shape to build, because we have different shaped pyramids. There's the bent pyramids. It's a puzzle that I would love to find the answer to. I would love to put all the pieces together and see the whole picture, but it's going to take more than just me. I need help. I need people to look at this with me. I need the ability to access some of these areas and see, what sort of proof you can dig up other than just speculative. The world looks like this, so it must be this, But they do say if it walks like a duck, talks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's a duck. Ducks don't talk. But this is starting to look like a duck. like a giant comet duck. You know, I'd love to travel to these islands, not just because they're probably beautiful places to go, London and Paris. I had a little phone call come through. I apologize. That was supposed to be on mute. I don't like my phone ringing when I'm doing these videos. Maybe I should just start doing these live. Putting the ramblings of a mad lamb on YouTube and just stream it. That way I don't have to edit it. I don't ever really edit it anyways. I just put it into my conversion software, convert it, and upload it however I have it. Errors and all. Misspeaks and all. There's no reason to edit it. The whole point of the video is the whole video. You know, it's like looking at the earth through a wider lens than just what we have been. You know, that's what I've been doing, is looking at the earth through a wider lens. I'm looking at everything in life through a wider lens, and you start to see more that way. Yeah, you don't quite see the fine details, but when you see something big, you can kind of narrow it in. You know, like the oddities of this area of the world, and my new fascination with this area of the world, and now just you saw me do it, the tie-in with the Cambodia and the step pyramids in this region. Is that what it's saying? This region looks like it all just washed away, washed down. Did we lose a lot of history? What's the oldest thing in this area? Can we find anything older than 11,000 years old, 10,000 years old in this area, Cambodia, Thailand? Or is it all strewn up and relatively recent builds that are reminiscent of ancient past builds? Or maybe they're built on ancient sites, megalithic sites. You know, I don't know. I don't know if there's megaliths in Cambodia. Let's find out. Ancient technology. What is the famous landmark in Cambodia? Angkor Wat. Well, that's I've heard of. So we're going to do that and check that out because it's famous. Okay. Is this the... Oh, this is that temple complex. It's beautiful. Yes. So maybe this is. I mean, it's... yeah. Where it shows the sunrise and it sits upon... walks up the steps to the tip and the top. Was Angkor Wat rebuilt? Is it a known site? Was it known to our ancestors, ancient ancestors, and they rebuilt it? Maybe this was a step pyramid previously, and that's what they rebuilt it as. Okay. I'd like to get in closer. If they'd show me Angkor Wat. I just want to see what's there. Anyhow, you guys can look through all this. I'm going to do a heck of a lot more looking in this while I'm not doing a video with you guys. But, you know, you have step pyramids that are in Cambodia, and you have Angkor Wat, and you have potential megalithic sites, and you have the Ellora Caves, Ajanta Caves, and you have what looks like skybursts right there, you know? Well, that's not... But there it is. There's something there. I may be way off and I may be spot on. Or maybe I got a piece here and there. It doesn't seem too far off the more you look at it, though. The more you put it together. Why would there be step pyramids that are upside down on top of these stupa? These are worshipped and renowned for more than just that. They have massive significance, just huge significance to them. There's more significance to them than we know. And our pillars here, and it just so much more. Why is it red? Why did they paint it red? Is this the natural red? You know, what instigated that? What did this used to look like? What did this all look like brand new? Mayan pyramids, you know. Chambers deep within pyramids. Megalithic sites around the world. Megalithic walls, megalithic blocks. Cave systems all around them. Ancient Paracas people, elongated skulls. Stories of wiped out civilizations. It all starts leading back, you know. When you dissect the stories and take the pieces that make sense and then try to figure out what the rest is. Really does. The earth is painting the picture. The ancient texts are painting pictures. The ancient architecture paints a picture. Megaliths paint a picture. We have solid proof of ancient machining. You know, anybody who says there is an ancient civilization more advanced than us with ginormous machines that were capable of doing things that we can't imagine doing. You know, I'm convinced. Early in the video, you saw, you know, the Cave de Kusa, giant boreholes. Let's take a look at those again. Actually, let's go to Google Earth and see what it looks like on there. Whoops. Cave de Kusa. And here we go. So they are cutting these out of the ground with extremely high precision. With extremely high pressure. Look at the uniformity. Tell me we didn't have ancient giant machines, or our ancestors. I'm convinced. Look at these, the way they're cut out. That is a core drill, and it's giant. It's huge. It's massive. I was looking at, I believe it was Pumapunku. Pumapunku, maybe. Bolivia. And somebody was comparing some of these ruin sites. It's very interesting to modern machining sites. So like the foundation for machines, they compared these sites and the cutouts of Pumapunku to that. So let me see if I can find that. Pumapunku. Puma Punku. See if I can find it. But, and I'm not into this whole ancient alien things. I mean, I don't know, obviously. But there's too many strange things that don't make sense. Come on now. I wish I could find that one where they compare it. It may be over here. Let me see what I can find. I would have multiple screens and lots of things open. I don't see. If you search, you'll find it, but it shows and it compares what a modern industrial machining site looks like for the bases of these giant machines, and it's very, very reminiscent of the layout of Pumapunku. Let me see what I can find here in these pictures and see. Because the shape of it is very interesting. Anyhow, look through it. Tell me what you guys think. Give me some comments. Share the video. Let your friends know. Let Graham Hancock, Randall Carlson, Jimmy over at Bright Insight, CFAPS, Brian Forrester, all those guys. Just if anybody's got to connect to them, let them know. I'd love to talk to them, at least for a little while. These guys kind of, you know, they follow a lot of this stuff. I don't want somebody that's just going to dismiss me. I'd like somebody to actually just talk with me and see what the potential is. Like this right here. I believe they compared this to the base for a giant machine, potentially. Here, can reconstruct Incan architecture. Yeah, maybe that, because this is what I saw. I don't know. It looked like these drawings here. And there's the H blocks and how they assume they went together. Either way, if there was a giant flood 12,800 years ago or 11,600 years ago or however the hell long ago it happened when all of this happened, you know, I can imagine the world's super machines being washed away in a massive flood, tumbled and broken and destroyed, crushed into nothingness. I'm going to get off here for the night, you guys. I really hope you enjoyed it. I'm enjoying this new series very much, Ramblings of a Mad Lamb. Please definitely give me your opinions, give me your thoughts. Just let me know and share it with some people. I'd love to see this expand and go a little bit further, because who knows where this could lead. The implications of this are, if this is true, the implications are massive. So, thanks for sticking with me, and see you guys on the next one.